Hi, folks. We're here for the Town of Norwood live stream via Facebook Live. I'm Town Manager Tony Mazzucco. We're going to be taking some questions in live time or in real time and trying to answer them. We have a few announcements and a few updates, and then we've already gotten some questions for folks. So we're going to give it just about a minute before we get started so folks can log on. And we'll have some staff here from the town who will be able to get some information out as we're going forward as well. So we'll be back in just one moment and we'll go ahead and get started. So good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us on a rainy Thursday afternoon as we try to get as much information out as we can to folks. First bit of information I want to get out, and I don't know if you can read this, but we do have a call center open. So we've established a citizen call center. Right now it's open Monday through Friday from 8 to 4, and you can call it at 781-352-2363. Once again, that's 781-352-2363, Monday through Friday from 8 to 4. We're going to post that information in the comment box, and we have it going out on social media, and there'll be a robocall going out later in the week about it. You can call the Citizen Information Center for any information or assistance you need, and if we can't help you directly, we will connect you with resources that can. If you have trouble signing up for SNAP or unemployment benefits, we can try to help you and walk you through that. If you have any needs, if you have any problems, we can help you out with that as well. And if you have any questions about town services or how to access certain services or commercial services, if you have complaints, concerns, questions, rumor control, just go ahead and call us at the Citizen Call Center Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, 781-352-2363. We've already got a lot of questions for it, a lot of assistance for people. We can connect you with mental health resources if you're having some trouble, and we can connect you with a lot of other resources. So any problems you're having, give us a call Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, 781-352-2363. A couple of other announcements before we turn it over to see if anyone has any questions. And in particular with unemployment, you can contact the call center. We can try to help you and triage any issues you're having getting access to unemployment, connecting you directly with folks who are working on unemployment. You'll always get somebody answering the phone. As many of you know, that's our model here in Norwood. You can call and talk to a person. If you call outside of those hours, you can leave a message and we will get back to you. If we don't have an answer when you do call, we will get an answer for you and we will get back to you. The food pantry is open Saturdays at the Grace Episcopal Church, 150 Chapel Street from 8:30 to 11. They're one resource in particular for food security if you're struggling with food security. We are going to be setting up in the next couple of weeks an expansion or an addition of that as a temporary food shelter or temporary food pantry to assist with an increase in need that we're projecting in food security. If you have kids in the school system, you can get breakfast and lunch meals at the elementary schools. And to be clear, I said kids in the school system. That's if you live in Norwood and you have children, they can go to St. Catherine's, they can be homeschooled, they can go to any other private school out there. If they live in Norwood, you can get lunches and breakfasts through the schools. Beginning in a little over a week, we're going to have an evening family meal program through the food service program where you can get a family style meal once a week. You do have to sign up for that ahead of time. We will get that information out on our citizen information page as well. One of the questions we get is about parks and playgrounds being open. And as of right now, the parks and playgrounds are open. We ask folks to practice social distancing. We are monitoring them regularly with both health staff and police staff. We're asking folks to just go with your household, to practice your social distancing, to be conscious of who's around you. One of the challenges that we are having with the high school is the track and the field. For right now, the high school track is open for walking. The field is closed. We are going to start enforcing that. We know that there's folks who good-natured are going up and just trying to play a little bit of soccer or have an exercise class, but that's not what we're trying to do. We want to keep these amenities open in a safe way. So the high school track is open, just the track, not the field. Please don't go to the field and congregate in groups. Please don't go and try to play soccer or run football drills. We understand that folks are stuck in their homes and there's a little bit of cabin fever going on. But please, if you're using the track at the high school for now, just use the track for walking, practice social distancing. Another question that we get is our resource page, I believe, was just posted. So we have a citizen resource guide out there for municipal services, and we've moved all of our information about COVID-19 to one spot on the town's webpage. So there's a lot of information there. All of our health department's information, all the PSAs that we've done, the frequently asked questions, they're still there as well. A couple of other announcements. I really do want to take a moment to thank some of the companies that have been stepping up during this crisis and helping out the community. Residents have been incredible stepping up, but there's a few companies I want to call out in particular. One of them is MS Walker. They are a liquor distributor in town, and they have been fantastic. And what they're actually producing is these little bottles here of hand sanitizer. They have been delivering them to public safety agencies throughout the Commonwealth, including the state police, and they have regularly been keeping us supplied. It is hand sanitizer. It's good for facility use. It's also good for hand use. We have a supply to ensure that all of our public buildings and facilities and our public safety departments have more than enough hand sanitizer. It is courtesy of MS Walker. They have donated everything. We've probably gotten 20 or 30 cases donated so far to the town because they are taking care of public safety agencies all throughout the Commonwealth. We're grateful to them in the work. They've been a great partner to work with. So a big thanks to them for helping us out. Two other businesses I want to particularly recognize for the great work that they're doing, and I have an example of their product. One of them is a company known as Americad right here in Norwood that is producing face shields for us and for first responders and for medical facilities. Another company is Steel Art. Both of them have committed to producing hundreds of face shields for us. This is actually what some of the simpler models look like. Not quite even, but I don't work in the medical field, so I'm probably putting on wrong. But it's a simple plastic face shield that provides additional protection beyond a mask for those working in hospitals, nursing homes, and our first responders, as well as some of our folks working in public facilities and other jobs where they have to come into contact with the public. As you know, we are shut down. We are only functioning, working on essential functions, but a lot of our public works employees, our public facilities folks at both the schools and at the housing authority need these resources as they still have to come into contact with residents. So a big shout out to both of those companies who are producing all of those for us. They're making a huge difference. Through them, the town has been able to provide these extra PPE services as supplies to the 4 nursing homes, the 2 assisted living facilities, and the hospital. So that's, I'd said last night or Tuesday night at the selectmen's meeting, it's not the federal government doing it, and we're grateful for their support. It's not the state government that's doing it. We're grateful for their support, though. This is the town of Norwood, the local businesses donating, being generous. We are supplying our medical facilities with PPE. And I just got a message that I should slow down, so I'll slow down a little bit. We're grateful that we're able to provide our medical partners in the community with additional PPE, and kudos to Steel Art and Americad for providing those, as well as MS Walker. We're working with a local vendor to produce masks as well. There's a group of residents in town. The Facebook page is Making Masks in Norwood. They've been absolutely inspirational in making masks and getting them out to their friends and to their family, to some of our first responders, to hospitals and to nursing homes. And to those folks out there, please keep doing what you're doing. We have a huge, huge need for the cloth masks. We're getting supplies ramped up for town employees, and we're going to eventually get enough masks made to get masks out to a lot of the seniors in the community and then to the folks at the housing authority. And we're actually looking to either order or create a number of masks for the election, and I'll talk about the town election in a minute. So just a big thanks to the businesses and to the residents out there who are really helping us all pull through. We know that there's a lot of job loss out there. One company in particular that we do know is hiring, and they are an essential company. It's a company known as Home Market Foods, and they're right here in Norwood. They are a frozen food producer. They're actually the largest producer in the United States of frozen meatballs. So most of the time when you happen to have a frozen meatball, it was probably produced right here in Norwood. They have immediate openings. They run 3 shifts. It is tough work. It is working in a food processing facility, but they have an immediate need as their demand has gone up, and they are a critical component of the supply chain. We'll be posting in both the comment box and on our website, and we put it out on our social media, contact information. So if you do know somebody who is looking for work, and we know there are a lot of people out of work in the community and throughout the Commonwealth, they're doing immediate needs, immediate hires for both temporary and permanent positions working in their food processing facility right here in Norwood. They're doing it through a company called Need Personnel, which is also a Norwood-based company. So it helps keep that food supply chain running and helps keep the grocery store stocked. They do a lot more than just frozen meatballs. They do a lot of different frozen and other meat products. So I encourage you to go ahead and give them a call if you're looking for work or if you know anyone that's looking for work. We got one resident question in, so I'm trying to pay attention to the comment feed here. I'll answer the first question we've got in. Somebody had asked, with all that's going on, can there be some consideration given to delaying May 1st property taxes? The answer is absolutely. What we're doing with property, water, sewer, light, and broadband is we're waiving all interest payments until the end of our fiscal year, which is June 30th. So if you're unable to make your tax payment on time, there will be no interest assessed until it goes beyond June 30th. So we know there are some folks out there who are struggling, who have challenges with paying their property taxes and their other utilities. There'll be no interest payments collected until after June 30th. So if you can't pay by that May 1st deadline, that's okay. We understand that. There won't be any interest assessed. It's different than, or it's really the same as not moving the date. Do we move the date to June 1st? Well, the date is sort of etched in stone as May 1st. So what we've been able to do through some changes in state law, courtesy to the state legislature, is move out any interest collection until June 30th. And I want to be clear that interest won't accrue on your account and then just be collected later. If you're not able to pay by May 1st, as long as you pay by June 30th, there'll be no interest charge on your property tax payments, as well as water, sewer, light, and broadband. We do need folks to pay their taxes. We're not the federal or the state government, so we're not able to move things around as much. So unfortunately, we can't borrow money to operate as the way most governments do. So if you're able to go ahead and pay your property taxes, I know that sounds tough for those who are struggling, but if you can, we ask that you do, because we do want to make sure we can keep town services running. But if you're unable to, recognizing the position that most folks are in, there'll be no interest charges on payments up through June 30th. And you can make payments at the treasurer's office, either by dropping it into one of our payment boxes, because this is another question we get several times a day. How do I make a payment to the town? We're closed to the public, but you can either drop it off in one of the payment boxes. We actually have one located at each of the doors to town hall, and there's a payment box at the in the town parking lot. We ask that you not put cash in there. If you do need to pay with cash, you can go to either the Bank of Canton branch in Canton or Norwood Bank here, their single branch here in Norwood. If it's up to $2,500, they will issue you a money order for a town bill. So if you have to pay an electric bill and it's $100 and you normally pay in cash, and perhaps you're underbanked or you don't have access to a banking institution, for no charge, you can go to the Bank of Canton main branch in Canton, or you can go to the Norwood Bank branch here in Norwood. They will issue you a money order. I think you just got to give them a name, and they'll be able to take care of you, so you can then drop that payment in one of the payment boxes, or you can always mail them in. I think one of the things this crisis has let all of us know is how much we actually rely on the mail and rely on the postal service, as we've seen the amount of mail we get in the office increase rather precipitously. So grateful to the postal workers for everyone else out there working through this crisis. So I'm just going to take a moment to check the comments and see if we have any questions. And we are here to take questions in live time. So any questions residents have, I will show you, while we have a moment, two different versions of masks. So this is a mask we have a local vendor producing. This is actually made with surgical material. So it's safe, clean, antibacterial, and we're producing these in mass. We're now able to get about 100 of them a day starting next week. Many residents have created masks. This one was donated to me. I'll demonstrate the mask if I could get it on correctly. So this is kind of a cool leopard print mask. So that's a question we've been getting from a lot of folks is, are you required to wear a mask in public? It's not a requirement. It's not a public health order. It's a suggestion of the Centers for Disease Control. And recently the mayor of Boston did recommend folks wear them out in public. We certainly do too if you have a mask available. But remember, the science behind a mask is you're protecting your community, not so much yourself, even though it's beneficial to yourself. So by wearing your mask in public, you're really protecting your community. So when folks ask, what can we do to help out? The number one thing folks can do to help out is to be a good citizen. Wash your hands, practice your social distancing. If you have a mask, try to wear a mask when you go out. Try not to go out unless it's essential. And we know that folks are cooped up in their homes. And if you're having trouble getting out of your home, if you're not feeling well and you don't have any access to resources, call that citizen call line that we have, and we'll be able to find resources to help you out with that. And with that, I'm going to read the citizen call center line again, just as I've seen some folks have joined us. 781-352-2363 is our citizen call center line. Please give us a call anytime you have any issues, and we'll help you out. It's open Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. If you call outside of those hours, we can help you out with that as well. I'm going to switch gears a little bit. One of the other questions we get from folks a lot is the number of cases in Norwood, and we post that information to our website every Friday. And I want to explain a little bit about why we post it once a week and how that works, and how the town works through our public health department to get that information out and how the process actually works. So we use a database that's used by every community in Massachusetts called the Maven system. And when there's a positive case in Norwood, it comes through the Maven system. It's reported directly to us. We then have to begin the contract tracing process. And you've heard a lot about this. And all that really is contacting first the individual, making sure they're okay, making sure they have access to medical care, making sure that they have wraparound services. If they're not able to leave their home, do they have access to various services that they need? And then we also have to trace who they've been in contact with since they tested positive and ask those people to self-quarantine for 14 days. So that process can take quite a bit of time. One person testing positive can sometimes take up to 30 or 40 hours of contact tracing. Sometimes it can be shorter. It's all done by our public health nurse and our public health staff. So we get numbers on cases daily, but once we get a case in, our first responsibility is to begin that contact and that contact tracing process. We did just get a comment on the social media feed or on the Facebook feed here, and we'll try to respond to those in real time. Somebody asked about masks going to the elderly. Our plan is to ramp up mask production and start handing them out through the senior center to try to get to seniors who may not have access to masks elsewhere. Again, there's a need for tens of thousands of masks in any community, so the ability to ramp up is there. Our ability to produce and secure the cloth masks, we're making sure we're taking care of the town staff who have to service the public. We're then going to look at distributing masks through the senior center to some of their known clients who they know need assistance, as well as the housing authority. And remember, some of our public housing, a majority of the individuals living in public housing in Norwood are elderly and seniors, and some of their complexes are specifically senior elderly communities. So we are trying to reach out to those populations. Our goal is to always start with the neediest among us and then work up from there as we try to provide services. So that's a great question. Somebody asked me how I'm feeling. I feel fine. I think as many people in the community know, I did test positive for COVID-19 what seems like a lifetime ago. I was one of the lucky asymptomatic patients. I did spend 21 days in my home, only leaving twice to go to Norwood Hospital and once to bring my garbage cans to the end of the driveway. So that was a little bit of a challenge, but I was able to make it through it. And I'm just blessed and lucky that the community was very supportive. I had people bringing me supplies all the time, people reaching out to me. I was very busy working the entire time, but I was lucky. I feel great, 110%. Somebody was supposed to be bringing me in a coffee from Honeydew, and I guess they forgot. So I'll have to have that chat with Bernie in the morning. But other than wanting a coffee at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I feel great. So thank you for asking. I had started talking, let's see if I can check the social media feed here to see some more questions. Questions about the lunch program. I think we've gotten those covered. Definitely trying to help out seniors. So anyway, I was talking about the contract tracing process. So we get numbers in and our staff begins the contact tracing process. It's a little bit easier now than it was 4 weeks ago prior to sort of shutting down society. And if you think about it, if everyone was out going to different stores and visiting friends and going to parties, and you have to do that contract tracing. So our public health nurse then needs to figure out how to call 100 different people and ask those 100 different people to self-quarantine. That's been narrowed down, which is a good thing, but it still can take sometimes 30 hours of time to contact all of somebody's contacts after they've tested positive. Now, we'll be posting numbers tomorrow. I think they're upwards of 130 or 140. One of the reasons our sample size of numbers is too small to really draw any statistical correlation, but there's a couple of things that make Norwood a little bit unique in terms of our numbers. Norwood Hospital and Urgent Care in Norwood have been doing testing for weeks now. And Norwood Hospital actually did a great job of being ready and able to do a lot of testing. So a lot of folks were able to get tests early on. It's a question about the election. I will absolutely talk about the election in just a moment. So I know Norwood Hospital, as of about 10 days ago, had done well over 1,000 tests. So we have a lot of testing going on. Somebody had asked, is it called contact tracing or contract tracing? Contact tracing, sorry. So Norwood Hospital has been doing a lot of tests, as is Norwood Urgent Care. We also have 4 nursing homes in town and 2 assisted living facilities. So some of our numbers are high because, unfortunately, throughout Massachusetts and really throughout the country, we're seeing a high prevalence of COVID-19 occurring in nursing homes. And I know we've all seen the sad news that came out of Charwell Nursing Home here in Norwood. And sadly, that's being repeated at nursing homes throughout the Commonwealth. So it's particularly hitting our elderly, most vulnerable populations very, very hard. Those numbers count towards our numbers, or they're considered cases in Norwood. But remember, our geographical boundary in Norwood is a line that we make up and draw on the line. The virus doesn't respect geographical boundaries. So it's just our numbers reflect cases that are reported in Norwood. Question about the election. As of right now, the election has been moved to June 8th, and we think we're going to be able to pull off an election on June 8th. The world is changing every day. We are living in unprecedented times. Could it always be delayed further? That's certainly a possibility. We would need further approval from the legislature to be able to do that. But the Board of Selectmen, acting under authority granted by the state legislature, have moved the election to June 8th. Now, I want to talk in particular about what we're going to do with the election and some of the things we're going to be able to make happen. There will be absentee voting, as always. I know some folks have asked questions previously. They've said, can't you just do a mail-in election and have everyone mail it in? There's no framework under law for anything like that to happen. So while you'll have your ability to do absentee ballots, the idea of just mailing in an election, there's no framework in law that would allow us to do something like that, really, for any community. I suppose that could always change. There's separate issues about ensuring the integrity of the election. Now, in terms of the June 8th election, because even if we've passed the curve and we're sort of on the downslide, a lot of our social distancing practices may still be in effect. And I'm sure the thought of folks gathering for an election might be quite frightening. We're in the plan right now in the planning stage of doing what we're trying to call or phrase a no-touch election. So our plan as of right now is you will be given PPE right as you get into the election area. So let's say you vote at the Oldham School, for instance. Probably when you drive up, you'll be given your own little baggie of personal protective equipment, because we're going to ask everyone to wear PPE when they go in to vote. We cannot enforce that. Everyone has a right to go in and vote, so we can't require it. But you're going to get a little baggie. Assuming we can get enough masks by then, it'll have a little mask in it. It'll have gloves in it. And it will have a special pen for the election. You can use a regular pen. We're trying to use the normal election pens in it. So you'll get your little baggie. You'll be able to sort of sanitize before you go in. We'll be practicing social distancing in the lineup to the election. You'll go in and give your name like you normally do. We're setting up plastic shields, if you will, so that there's no real contact in between the individuals and the folks who are checking you in and giving your ballot. They'll, of course, be wearing PPE. You'll take your ballot. You'll go to your booth. You'll vote like you normally do. As you leave that booth, staff will go in and sanitize the space. So it'll get sanitized after each voter. You'll hand in your ballot. You'll walk out. It'll probably be a slightly different directional to walk out after you check out. We'll have either recycling or trash bins for you to deposit your PPE and to deposit the pen, and then you'll be able to go on, and there'll also be a sanitizer station as you exit. So it's being set up as a sort of no-touch, full PPE, full sanitized election, because we want everyone to feel comfortable that you can safely go in and conduct an election and vote. It's your right and it's your duty, and it's important that we do that. In a typical local election, we get anywhere between, we may get 3,000 up to 3,500 votes. So we're going to plan for that normal number. We, of course, would love to see a higher voter turnout. What we're going to ask folks to do, and we're not sure what level where society will be open as of June 8th. If people are back to work, we know when our peak periods will be. We're always a little bit busy in the morning, and then right in the school afternoon as school gets out, and then right around when people are getting home from work around 6 or 7. So we'll just ask folks to go when they can. Be prepared to wait, but if we can still get people in and out fast enough, if we're able to get everyone to sort of comply with our PPE requests. And again, the idea is it'll be a no-touch election. Folks will have PPE when they enter. Stations will be sanitized as they vote. Poll workers and election workers will be behind protective gear. They'll still be available to answer any questions. We'll have additional PPE supplies there for the poll workers. There'll be plenty of hand sanitizer and cleaning solution. So not much will change for the average voter, other than you'll be given a kit. You'll actually probably be asked to wash your hands, given a kit, don your kit, and go and vote. We can't make it mandatory, but somebody asked, how can we apply for absentee ballots if unable to vote for person? You will be able to do that through the town clerk's office. We can get the clerk's contact information here, and we'll be doing some specific messaging around absentee ballots and absentee voting as we get closer to the election date. We certainly encourage folks to do that. It's a great way to be able to get to vote if you don't want to come out to the polls, but our goal is to make the polls 100% safe and effective to go out to, because we still want you to come out and be able to vote. We know a lot of people like the process of voting. They like getting out to vote. We always get the question about stickers. I don't know if we'll be able to do stickers necessarily this year, but we're going to make it a clean, no-touch election so that everyone feels comfortable and safe coming out to vote. We'll get the clerk's office information up there in just a few minutes on the live stream, and we'll be doing some more specific messaging once it gets closer to the actual election date. But the thought is it's going to be a no-touch election. We have plenty of gloves. We need to secure more masks, and we're ordering more the pens and the election supplies and the baggies and everything so that we can completely have it be a no-touch election. Question from a resident on thoughts about town meeting. So as of right now, we're tentatively looking at either June 22nd or 28th for town meeting. The thought process from the public health department and from the manager's office, from our command team, is that this year for town meeting, we really need to keep the warrant to essential business only. We could delay town meeting beyond June if we had to, but we are we're looking to just trim the warrant down to only do the business we need to get through, and then we would have town meeting again in the fall like we normally do. We may do 2 town meetings, but if there are projects that we don't need to vote on approval for, or items that we don't need to vote on approval for, we want them to be delayed to the fall, because if we have to ask everyone to come together for town meeting, we know it's going to be a lot of people in a room, and making sure we have PPE for that and proper sanitation for that, and just that many people being in a room all together at once for a while, we'd like to just get it done as quickly as possible. We will be getting all of the budget information out. We're going to be specifically asking town meeting members to review the information, to send us questions they have ahead of time. We'll get those questions out to everyone so we can try to get as information done as possible. We're also looking at doing budget forums like we've done in the past through a means like whether it be Facebook Live or a GoToMeeting or something like that, to get as much information as possible. Town meeting is a time where town meeting members can go and speak on any issue, and we want to maintain the democratic integrity of that. But given what's going on in the community and the country, we want to have as short of an annual town meeting as possible. We'd like to close it in one night. So the annual warrant will just be a couple of the annual approval articles that we have to do that are quick. It'll be the budget and only capital items that we need to approve now to get those projects started in the summer. And anything that can wait to a fall approval will wait. We usually do a special town meeting along with the annual town meeting. That should be limited to just the internal transfers needed, and the emergency spending needed, and any emergency spending needed for the following fiscal year. There are other items that we normally do, bylaw changes, zoning changes, things like that, where the recommendation is that all get held off until the fall, so that way town meeting, given everything that's going on, can be as short as possible. We will be in a better position in the fall to possibly spend a little bit more time together and have more of our traditional town meeting place. So we want to balance that democratic responsiveness that we have and responsibility that we have with, if we're doing town meeting in June, we really need to just come in, get the public's business done, and then call it a day. There'll be more specifics coming out about how we think we can manage that on the night of town meeting, but a little bit of the fanfare that we all look at, and a little bit of the pageantry that we all look forward to with town meeting, we're recommending we just skip out on that this year. Some of the reports that get given, all the information will be available, but to get that many people in a room and for people to feel comfortable with it, we've got to make sure that we're just doing what we have to get done, and then having, and maybe we have more sessions in the fall, but we're moving most of that off to the fall. Sarah, a question was asked about absentee ballots coming in for the 4-6 election. We will get the specific answer on that. And the 4-6 election has now been moved to 6-8, which is what we assume is the final date for the election. Although as the world changes daily, we could see that change, but we feel confident that it'll be June 8th. Town meeting, we feel confident will be late in June. The state has passed a law that would allow us to delay town meeting if we need to beyond a late June date. We'll have to sort of see where the world is and decide what the options are then. But as of right now, the plan is, what was approved by the selectmen, is to do a late June town meeting and to try to get it done in one night. And if you think about it, there's a lot of small articles we usually like to get done at town meeting. If we can wait to do them, we should wait to do them. If we are asking town meeting members to please come in and vote on the annual appropriations, to try to keep that as short as possible. And as I said, there'll be some additional messaging and information coming out in May and possibly into early into mid-June about getting information out there to town meeting members and the public, and getting questions in and getting them answered, so that way folks have as much information as possible going into town meeting. Since we've had some new folks join the stream, I just want to once again point out we do have a call center, 781-352-2363, 8 to 4, Monday through Friday. Call with any questions, problems, or comments, or other issues that you may have, and we will find you an answer. You can call and talk to a live person. If you call outside of those dates, we will have, outside of those times, sorry, we will, you can leave a message and somebody will get back to you with an answer, an actual live person. I'm just going to check the comments from here for some more questions. We've been trying to post some information. I think we've covered the election. We've covered how I'm feeling. Thank you very much. I'm going to give that one a like. There we go. And yes, somebody mentioned about all kids who can live in Norwood can get the breakfast and lunch program through the school department. So for everyone who doesn't know, or anyone who just joined, the Norwood Public Schools are offering breakfast and lunch programs for students. It's their similar breakfast and lunch program on a pickup basis. It's not just for Norwood Public Schools students. It is for homeschooled students. It is for students who go to St. Catherine's, students who go to any school, anywhere, or are homeschooled. If your family is a resident, you just show up and they're able to take care of you. Somebody asked, what is Home Market Foods? Home Market Foods is a manufactured food producer right here in Norwood. They're considered an essential business. They produce a lot of frozen foods that we all eat and enjoy. They're actually the largest producer of frozen meatballs in the country, and they are looking for help. They need folks to keep their supply lines going and to pick up some of the slack in the supply chain to make sure they can continue getting food to the grocery store. So we're asking folks, if you know anyone out of work who's looking for work, it is tough work working in a food processing plant, but they do need workers both on a temp and a permanent basis. It's a great chance for somebody who recently found themselves out of work, pick up some work, and it helps that supply chain and helps keep folks working and helps keep food in the grocery stores, which is important. I'm going to answer a question from someone. Are there ways for people to help now? So those of you who are out there making masks, make more masks and keep making masks. It's incredibly helpful to have those masks get out there in the community. We sort of started with first making sure that we're taking care of responders, and we're now seeing the supply chain somewhat catch up with that, and we're getting more of the N95 masks. There's a facility in Somerville going to open up soon, or it's already open, that will be doing a cleaning of masks for hospitals. So we're getting over that, but we have a whole society where folks need masks. And if I could go out and buy thousands of masks, I would. We're not really able to do that. That's one of the challenges. So to the mask makers out there in Norwood, you are critical, and we appreciate it, and we love you, and keep making masks. Share them with your friends and your family. We're working with a couple of vendors and some local volunteers to try to produce a specific amount for the town, because we have a lot of town and school employees who need masks. We have to get masks out to folks who use the senior center. We have to get masks out to the housing authority folks. So by all means, if you know of people making masks, you can continue to make masks. Another question about the town hall potentially having a food program. We are looking to set up a temporary, probably 90-day supplementary food pantry. We're working on that now. We're working with our existing food pantry. We would start that off with providing services to students in the Norwood schools or families with kids and seniors in need, and then we would expand for there. We'd like to have that up and running in probably 2 weeks if possible, and then we'll run it for probably 60 to 90 days as we're predicting a surge in the need, and we're already seeing a surge in that need as well. Somebody also just mentioned that the Norwood Public Schools is making dinners available for families on Wednesdays. So there's a link on the school Facebook page. You do need to sign up for it to make sure we can get the proportions out. We're calling it a pilot program for the month of April. We don't know what the need is, but we're just trying to supplement the food security issues we're facing, or supplement everyone's food supply any way that we currently can. It's important that we do that. And especially over the next 30 days, one of the challenges we're going to face is we know that there are SNAP benefits out there for folks who are low income and who have lost their jobs. We know there's unemployment benefits. We know there's stimulus checks coming. It's going to take time for all of that to kick in. So we're trying to do as much as we can to get stuff out there and to get food out there and to get supplies out to people and to get assistance out to people. And even then, once those catch in, folks who are on the margin, folks who are living paycheck to paycheck, who may not have that many resources, they go 2 weeks without a paycheck. It takes a lot longer to catch up. So we're trying to get as much food out there as we can. We're trying to produce as many masks as we can. And we're also working with the hospitals and the nursing homes to get them PPE and really doing what we can do. Another answer to the question somebody asked about what can residents do: wash your hands, wash your hands, practice your social distancing. It's absolutely important. Somebody masks for the food pantry as well. We are talking with them about making sure they're supplied with PPE as well. The Norwood Fire Department has actually taken the lead in coordinating a lot of the PPE in the community, and they're doing a fantastic job. Lieutenant John Cody, Deputy Chief Dave Hayes, and Chief George Maurice, they have been moving supplies around and wheeling and dealing and making deals. They've actually arranged with Americat and Steel Art the face shields that we're able to get produced in great numbers. And we're providing PPE when we have it. We're swapping back and forth with the hospital and the nursing homes. We're providing them to some of the smaller doctors' offices. And we're doing everything we can do to take the supplies we have and maximize them and get them out to where they're needed. And that's why, again, the cloth masks that folks are producing, to those of you making masks out there, make as many as you can. Get them out to your friends and family. Send them with a card and drop them off so folks have them. We need to get as many masks out to the community as we can. And the town's looking to try to ramp up to, I'm hoping by tomorrow or maybe by Monday, with some vendors we're working with, a couple of local seamstresses and local dry cleaning factory operations, we might be able to get up to 100, 150 a day. And that'll start meeting our needs of getting them out to seniors who need them and getting them out to folks at the housing authority who need them. And then making sure we have enough for the election and also getting them out to some of the group homes and other places that So we're working to get our production ramped up on masks as well and get them out there to the community. At some point, the market will help solve this problem, and they'll be out there. They're just not there yet. Again, if we could place an order for 100,000, I'd do it and make sure everyone had masks. So those of you out there who are sewing, we appreciate it, and it's making a difference, and it's making an impact in the community. And remember, in terms of what you can do when you wear your mask, and I know this is a particularly fashionable cheetah print one or leopard print one, you're protecting your community. And that's what we need folks to be community minded. A lot of what you do is important for your own protection, your family's protection. But when you think about your community, washing your hands, practicing your social distancing, wearing a mask if you have one when you go out in public, not going out if you're sick, those are what help. Those are what everyone can do. It really is a battle that we need everyone to be on. And it's about personal responsibility. The more you can do as a person, and I know it can get frustrating at times. I know we're stuck in our homes and that stinks. But the more you can do, is critical. That's absolutely it. Somebody just posted that over 1,200 masks have been delivered to essential employees by the Making Masks group in Norwood. It's absolutely essential. I think when Patty Fanning, or one of our town historians, or Maggie Krupp write the history of this, we're going to have to make sure they write the history of the mask makers and ordinary residents stepping up with sewing machines and making a difference in saving lives. And that's really what it's doing. As somebody had asked before, are we getting them to the elderly? Of course, we have to take care of the first responders first. And once the medical facilities are set and our first responders are set, we have our other public employees, Public Works and Light, who come into contact with employees, who come into contact with the public. And then we've got to get them out to our seniors, to our folks living in the housing authority, who are our highest need. And then we'll continue to get them up and out to as many people as we can. If you're able to make them, by all means, keep making them. They need more sewers and cutters too. I wish I could help with that. If I tried to make a mask, I'd spend about 25 hours and probably still wouldn't be able to do it. So kudos to the folks who are talented and skilled enough to be able to do that. So we're going to check the comments thread here. Folks have other questions. We're here for questions. We're going to run till about 5 o'clock. Any questions about the town's response or resources you need, or even any questions about the town in general, we can go ahead and answer those. We'd be more than happy to. Mask making is important. I'll just go back over a few of the things I mentioned earlier. Folks who need help with unemployment can call our call center. If you're not getting through to unemployment, we can try to help get you through. The food pantry is open at the Grace Episcopal Church, 150 Chapel Street, 8:30 to 11:30 on Saturday. We mentioned again, and it's worth continuing to mention, the meals that we have available at the elementary schools, the breakfast lunches, are for sorry, just something popped up on my screen there. Sorry about that. They are available for any children in the community. You do not need to have to just go to the Norwood Public Schools. If you're homeschooled, if you're too young for school, if you go to a private school, you're able to do it. Somebody just said they're not charged with sharp objects either with the face masks. Again, if I tried to make one, it would probably be about a day's effort and it wouldn't be too good. And I would just end up wrapping a piece of cloth around my head. But my skills also lie elsewhere. Somebody mentioned Friends of Norwood Center is doing a fundraiser to provide meals to first responders with local Norwood restaurants. We've reached out to them, and we think that's a great initiative. Them in conjunction, Charlotte at Charles River Running and Matt Brown have raised, I think it's close to or over $10,000 to help feed the front lines. What we're asking is we're certainly appreciative of that. Those meals, as they get coordinated, the hospital and also the nursing homes need them. You do need to contact the nursing homes ahead of time. They're very cautious about their contact, but remember, there are a lot of people asking. A lot of people work on the front lines in our nursing homes, in our assisted living facilities too, who are really going through some of the worst of this, as they're losing a lot of patients due to the nature of the virus. Somebody asked if there's a way to donate food. I don't think we're doing food donations yet. We looked at the ability to ramp up. Certainly, I think the food pantry might be taking food donations. I would encourage you to contact them for their needs. The short-term food pantry that we're looking to ramp up is something we're able to work with the Greater Boston Food Bank and get food in bulk. We had started looking at a community collection, and then we just realized that what we'd be able to do, as well as the total interactions that it would create, might not be as safe and as efficient as working with the Greater Boston Food Bank. I do know the food pantry always needs food. One great way to donate food is to check on your neighbors, especially if they're elderly, and ask them if they need something. We're all familiar now with the no touch deliveries, where you just leave something on somebody's steps. So if you know a neighbor, even if they're not necessarily in need, you can always drop off food to a neighbor and let them know it's there. People appreciate it. We're all lacking sort of human contact, so that's just a nice way to help out your neighbors and help everyone get through this. The crisis, or the COVID-19 crisis, is taking a big impact or taking a big hit on people's mental health and well-being. Maybe families and people out there who are have plenty of money and have plenty of food, and that doesn't mean that they're all set and that they're all safe. They may also be suffering. So dropping off a pan of baked goods or something. I think people would appreciate just the kind gesture and the limited amount of interaction, even though it's not person to person. That's always something great that you can do. We did get the link up to the food pantry there, so you can always reach out to them on their needs. They are getting a lot of donations, both cash donations and I think they're still taking food donations, but I would check with them on that to make sure that that is the case. This is a unique emergency in that normally everyone can rush to one place and do everything, and we can have tents set up and people working in big groups, and we all sort of have to do it digitally and remotely and working individually and dropping things off on people's doorsteps. And I think the community has responded well to that. Emergency management planning for the last 20 years, really in the post 9/11 era, has all focused on setting up your emergency operations center and everyone working out of one central hive, sharing information and resources. And of course, the nature of a pandemic is that doesn't work having 40 or 50 people working out of one room. So we've taken 20 years of planning and practice and had to upend it and trying to do things digitally. I'm sure there's a lot of folks out there who are a little tired of the Zoom meetings and the go-to meetings, but that's just the nature of the world, at least for the time being. I continue to talk, and I'm happy to keep answering questions. But are there questions folks who are watching may have about anything they can do to help, any questions they may have, or any questions about town services? We do have all of our town services operating in one fashion or another. If you have questions, you can call the call center. The switchboard line at Town Hall is still open. We can produce, I'd say, probably better than 95% of all the services normally produced. They just do take a little time. Comment from somebody about communication efforts. We want to get as much information out there to the public. You can let us know how folks want to get information. We know it's tough that there's so much out there. And then when you sit down at your computer and your phone and you want to know where to get information, it's almost like information overload. So we'll continue getting as much information out as we can. And again, one of the reasons we established our citizen call center was to just try to help folks wade through all of the information that's out there. I mean, it's constant on the news media, and you try to pull up a state web page or a government page and find access to stuff. There's just a lot of it out there. So we're just trying to help folks work their way through that. And I certainly appreciate the work that my employees are doing. We still have public safety out there every day. We still have skeleton crews working in town hall. The DPW is out there every single day. The light department's out there every single day. Almost all of our teachers are teaching from home and continuing to work on providing materials. And I actually joined our civics class a couple weeks ago on an online class they had during the shutdown and provided them with some updates. So teachers are still working. Some of us on the front line, some of us from the rear line, so to speak. But to all the town employees that are out there, I appreciate the work they're doing, and I'm proud of them. And they're really, I think, stepping up to the plate. Everyone's done a great job. Our public health department, in particular, Sigal Reese, our health director, and Stacy Lane, our assistant director, are knocking it out of the park. We are fortunate to have them. Public health is one of those departments that most people honestly don't even know we have. And then when a crisis like this hits, you say, thank God we have a public health department. So thank God we have a public health department and the public health department. We're grateful for them. Somebody had asked about stopping the in-person selectmen meetings. I believe the next select meeting will be done digitally. So it's 2 weeks, so a week from this Tuesday. We're making plans to make it happen now. So I believe we'll be coming to you digitally. One of the reasons the selectmen's meetings are a little bit difficult to end up doing digitally is there's more of a public requirement for certain public forums. So it's a little bit more difficult to get the technology to work, but we think we've got it done. We think we've got devices for everyone and everyone trained and ready. And I believe the directive from Chairman Bishop has been that the next meeting will be our first all digital selectmen's meeting. Jack Tolman is treating us well. I'm glad you brought that up, Dennis. We're blessed as a community to have Norwood Community Media. Our ability to produce all of the PSAs that we get and the video information that we get out is due to NCM. We are far and above any other community out there. A lot of communities are using this forum, and we're grateful that we can do Facebook Live. But NCM allows us to make content and get it out there and get video content out there like that. I mean, if we run down to the studio, if it's just one of us, they're able to film something and get it up later that night. If we send them in video, they're able to edit it and get it done right away. We have folks who can record a PSA from home, text it to NCM, and they're able to get it up and running. They're an absolute gem of a community resource, and we're grateful for them. Somebody just tuning in, the number of town residents with the virus determined. As of last Friday, it was about 70. We are up to about 130 as of today. My numbers are rough because we pull the number every Friday morning. And what it is we go in and actually do a count on the Friday morning. So sample size with resident cases are, and we just posted the link there. It's really too small of a sample size to draw any kind of reasonable data correlation from, but we're seeing similar trends to other communities. We were a little bit ahead of Norfolk County. We're now a little bit behind Norfolk County, but with 4 nursing homes, 2 assisted living facilities, as well as the hospital and the urgent care in Norwood, we know our numbers are going to be higher for a similar community of our size, or at least we thought they were. We're not necessarily seeing that, but with the nursing homes, we know that's where a lot of our cases are unfortunately coming from. With the hospital ramping up its testing, we know that more people have been able to get tested in Norwood than in a lot of other communities. So that's another contributing factor to our numbers. We're also a denser community than some of our surrounding communities, but we're not seeing the same density challenge that some dense cities are seeing, because we're not that dense. We're not Boston, we're not New York, but compared to Canton and Westwood and Dedham, we certainly have a little bit more of density. So tomorrow morning, we'll have the exact number up and updated. I believe as of today, it was around 130 cases is what we're up to. Most towns are starting to see an increase in their case count, and that's really correlated to the increase in testing. So we don't feel that Norwood is at this point really any different than any other communities in terms of our numbers. It seemed to hit us a little bit earlier, I'm sure, as folks are aware, than many communities, but are just a couple weeks ahead of the rest of the state in that sense. The numbers, we're predicting that peak to come in, I believe the governor's word is April 10th to April 20th when we hit that peak, so we should see that. And then it should start to decline. We don't know how quickly the decline is going to be. I know the total count of fatalities or folks who have passed away in Massachusetts as of a couple days ago was 356. It's gone up since then, but that number struck me because there's, I believe, 351 towns in Massachusetts. So there was a correlation there. But we're seeing our social distancing work. We're seeing the stay-at-home advisory work, because the cases that we're seeing coming in now are folks, unfortunately, who are still working because they're essential, and they're working in the medical field or they're working in an essential field. And as I had said earlier, when we do that contact tracing, where we have to get a positive case, and I say we, it's the health department, they then have to contact everyone that somebody's been in contact with and ask them to quarantine. It still can take anywhere from 30 hours a person. Some of them it's a lot shorter, but it's, hey, I'm an essential employee and I work here, and they're able to do that tracing, and there's only 10 people that they've come into contact with, or maybe 12 people, whereas 30 days ago it was you had to contact 40 people. So that's evidence that the social distancing is working. And a lot of the other practices that we're doing is working. In the stay-at-home advisories, and we know they're tough to the economy, we know people are losing money, but they're helpful. We've shut down in Massachusetts and most of the country probably 70-80% of the human interactions. I know I come into town hall, we normally have about 50 employees in town hall, and then sometimes it could be 100 or 200 people throughout the day coming in the building. We're down to a skeleton crew in a building of less than 20 and no public coming in. So you look at the number of interactions, they've dropped way down. So that's helpful. It just takes time for it to work. We know that the hospital is gearing up, and they've been able to add and expand capacity. So I feel confident. Norwood Hospital has been a great partner in this, and Sal Perla is their CEO. I talk to him a couple times a week. Our team, our public health and public safety team, meet with the hospital digitally, of course, 3 times a week on conference calls. So we're working closely with them, and they've been a great partner in the whole process. For folks just joining us, just to relay 2 quick updates that I've been mentioning again. Thanks to MS Walker for producing their hand sanitizer and keeping all of our public safety buildings safe in our public safety operations. Steel Art and Americad in Norwood producing face shields for us. They're doing a fantastic job. And Home Market Foods is looking for help. They are a food processor, a frozen food processor. They have about 100 positions open for immediate hire, both temp and perm. You can contact Lou V at Need Personnel, which is a Norwood company, to get information about that. I mentioned earlier, and I'll just mention for everyone else, that the high school track is open for walking. The field is not open. Please don't use the field. We don't want to have to shut the whole track down if too many people are using the field. And these are all good-natured people. Nobody is being obnoxious about it, but we're just seeing too many small groups. And I do appreciate that residents that are only going out in a real small group and keeping to under 10. But when you've got 6 groups of people under 10, it now becomes an issue. So we want the walking track open. It's a safe, comfortable place for folks to walk. Walking is very healthy any time of the year, especially when you can't really get out. But please limit the high school track use just to the limited just to walking. Question about the simple recycling was suspended. Can we bring textiles to the landfill? The short answer is for right now, no, but we are looking at that for both that and bulky waste collection. We have right now the landfill is open just for leaf and brush drop off and compost pickup. We are looking, and hopefully in the next week or two, we want to do something with the textiles and with the bulky waste. We're just concerned about the increasing the total number of interactions, but we know we have folks who want to get stuff outside of their house and they want to be cautious of the what they're able to do. So we're looking at that. Somebody asked for an update on Charwell. So I'll speak about the nursing homes for just a moment. The town actually doesn't regulate nursing homes. They actually fall under the regulation of the Commonwealth's Department of Public Health. So I know we were all saddened to learn that there were 15 deaths over a 2-week period at Charwell House. The town, I had gotten a couple questions, when was the town made aware of that? And the short answer is when we saw the Boston Globe article like everyone else does. Because of the need to sort of regulate nursing homes across the board, it's the state that does that. So we don't have the same interaction that we do with them that we do with other facilities in town. So we've been in communication with them. We try to work with them. They don't report cases directly to us. They don't report problems directly to us. That all goes through the state's Department of Public Health. So I haven't received an update recently on how they're doing, other than I did hear today that the staff is starting to go up at some of the locations because they're starting to get the PPE, and the National Guard has stepped in to help nursing homes throughout the Commonwealth with residents testing and making sure they're getting supplies. It's easier in a way to help hospitals because there are fewer hospitals and they're very big. Nursing homes, I think one of the things that we're finding in this crisis is that it's difficult that there are so many nursing homes and the state regulates all of them. Again, we have 6 in Norwood alone, or 4 nursing homes and 2 assisted living facilities. So we have been working with all of them to share PPE resources and to coordinate between them and the hospital, sharing of other resources, mainly PPE, but there's just a communication that we're making sure we share, but they don't directly report to us. They report to the state. And so that's why we're sometimes at a lag in the information coming by and coming through the nursing homes. But we talk to them. We've offered whatever help we can. We do have, sometimes the fire department does do calls there, but they work with the state's Department of Public Health on their needs. And I know that they've been getting assistance with testing. We've been helping them with PPE. And we hope that they're doing better. We don't directly oversee or work on regulate the nursing homes. So that's a good question. A lot of folks were taken aback by that, and it was certainly a tragedy. And I think the bigger tragedy is that you're seeing what happened at Charwell repeat itself at a number of facilities throughout the Commonwealth, and I would assume throughout the country. I'm focusing mainly on what goes on in Norwood and Massachusetts, but I know there was a nursing facility out in the Berkshire County that had 11 deaths. I think we all know what happened. There was a tragedy at the Soldiers' Home in Holyoke. The difference there, where the state stepped in a little bit more there, is that's actually a state facility, whereas our nursing homes are all private nursing facilities. But the nursing homes are particularly hard hit by this. The nature of their population is particularly hard hit by COVID-19, and unfortunately, that's happening at nursing homes throughout the Commonwealth. Do residents have other questions? We'll get back to folks about the recycling and the textiles. We'll see if we can find a way to make sure we can do that. Some of this is just about giving time to make sure we can come up with sort of no touch and no interaction services to residents. We don't want folks leaving their houses unnecessarily, but we do recognize that business does have to go on, and recycling is something that's first and foremost on our minds. I'll make a note of that. Textiles. You can still go to the landfill to drop off leaves. And I'll mention actually a question about leaves that we get. We do have the DPW still doing leaf pickup. It's going to be slow. We have a reduced number. Somebody asked about police fining. I thought that was the word fire, so I will answer the question about fining in just a moment. Leaf pickup will be slow. We are still doing it. When leaves pile up, they actually flow into storm drains, and then when we have a heavy rain, they clog the storm drains, they clog culverts, they cause a lot of problems. So I know I did get a comment from a resident a few days ago. They said, well, that's, just because people want to keep their lawns looking nice, we shouldn't have people picking up leaves. I'm glad that it helps people keep their lawns looking nice, but leaves are actually a nuisance, and they cause a lot of problems for our infrastructure, which is why we want to make sure we keep picking them up and we have the brush drop off. The question came in, will police have the authority to fine those not obeying social distancing? The police have an issue. The police have the ability, and so does the public health department, to issue a fine for anyone violating the governor's public health order. So the social distancing in and of itself, if you're not staying 6 feet away from somebody, we probably couldn't find somebody for that. However, if we have closed a park or a field and we've told people that you can't have organized activity in a particular area and folks continue to do it, we would first issue a warning. We then do have the ability to issue a fine, and it can be up to a civil $300 civil violation if needed. The actual definition of social distancing, if two people happen to be 3 feet from each other and they were a couple walking, that would be a little bit more challenging. But the police and the health department do have fine authority and enforcement authority. So if we had a business that refused to close for some reason, and I don't think that's the case here in Norwood, the police would have the ability to issue a fine and then take other actions after that. We do take it seriously. We're not actively looking for officers to cause problems with folks. We do need to all take a little bit of personal responsibility. But if you do see any problems, by all means, report them up to us. We do investigate any calls of large groups. What we're seeing at our parks, other than the high school field, which has become a little bit of an issue, is by and large, people are being good about following social distancing. I would say the compliance is actually very high. It's never going to be perfect, but I'm proud of the community and what they've done so far, and everyone just practicing good social distancing and good, be a good civic role model and citizen and practice the best you can. But if folks want to be difficult and get a little bit out of line, the police do have the authority to issue fines in a number of cases, as does the public health department. The public health department has the authority to issue cease and desist orders. We have had a couple of businesses that were not on the essential list that have continued to where we have had to issue cease and desist orders. Question came in, why the drive-through mailboxes were removed at the post office? The answer to that is I have no idea, but we will look into it for you, because that's a good question. I would think that we're putting more mailboxes out, but we will look into that and try to get an answer. We do have a new bin at Town Hall. It's actually kind of an Art Deco thing. It's sort of a little funky design outside what I would call Memorial Hall, or the main entrance to Town Hall. There's a big bin there. So if you have any papers or forms or applications or anything you can drop off, we've added a new big drop-off bin there at Town Hall, at Post Office. And that's a great question. And I think, as everyone knows, the Post Office is the purview of the federal government, but we absolutely have some contacts there, and we can reach out and find out why they were and get that information out to folks. That's a good question. Do folks joining in have other questions, comments, thoughts, concerns, suggestions? I'll do one quick, and we'll always take questions, and you can always email managers@norwoodma.gov, or, as I've been telling everyone, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, we have our citizen call center, 781-352-2360. A quick question came in, will the library be doing any pickup type services? We're looking into that. We're suspended because library services are not considered essential. So we would certainly love to do that. The library staff have indicated that they'd like to do that once we're able to. Once we begin sort of reopening society, that may be something we do in a short term before opening the building back up. But the library has expanded their online collection and the number of books that can be downloaded through their online systems. I believe it's called Hoopla. So we're actually spending quite a bit of resources expanding that, so you can get more digital books from the library. If you are at home and homebound, you absolutely can't leave your home, you can always call the call center and let us know, and we'll see if we can get you some materials. Somebody quote that the library staff are essential to you. They're essential to me too. I just, under the governor's order, can't ask them to come into work and deliver books. But you may start to see things like that as a way of reopening society, where we'll start with that for a few weeks. If we could do it today, we would do it in a heartbeat, and I know the librarians and the library staff would love to do it. We just have to comply with the governor's order as well. Somebody said that mail had been fished out of that box and checks cashed falsely. We'll look into whether or not that's that's probably what the case is, but we'll look into that and see if the post office, given the circumstances, can do anything to let people do some drop-offs. Again, if it avoids the need for folks to go into a building and come into closer contact, I think that's a good idea, but we will look into that and see. There is also an active book swap group on Facebook if people want to join. I would encourage that if you like the book swap. I unfortunately like to buy books and keep them for some reason. And I always need to have about 5 or 6 I haven't read. And when that pile gets down a little low, I start getting frustrated, and I need to always have books I own but have never read. But that's just me. But that book swap group is a great idea. People are doing no swap drops. or no touch drops on lawns and everything like that. And I think that's a great idea. Just run through my last set of announcements, and I'll continue to take questions. I can continue going. We had pegged this for about an hour. You can call our call center for help with any needs. We will make sure we get help out to residents. The food pantry is open Saturdays at the Grace Episcopal Church from 8:30 to 11:30. We are looking in the next couple of weeks to set up a temporary food pantry, working with our food pantry in the Greater Boston Food Bank to dramatically surge and increase the amount of food able to serve people, and then we'll scale it down as the summer goes on. Meals available at the Norwood schools are for any child in Norwood. Your child does not have to go to the Norwood schools. If you live in Norwood and your student is schooled, if they go to a private school, you are able to get meals there. And if you go to the school department's Facebook page, they have a sign up. We're experimenting with family meals next week. So if you need a meal for your family, you'll be able to sign up, and each Wednesday in April, go and pick up a family meal. Playgrounds and parks are open. Please practice social distancing. Do not go in large groups. We want to keep playgrounds and parks open. There are a lot of folks who are suffering from not just cabin fever, but there's a lot of mental health issues. We're seeing challenges in the community with attempted suicide and domestic violence. So people having an ability to get out is important. Please don't ruin it from your neighbors by gathering it for your neighbors and for the community by gathering in large groups. So use these resources responsibly. We have a lot of sidewalks in town. They're mostly in good shape. I encourage everyone to walk in the sidewalks, walk in our trails. We'll be getting more information out there about trails, but please be cognizant of the community as a whole. The track at the high school is going to stay open. However, the field is not. Please don't go play organized sports at the field. We would have to leave. We have our new resource page up on the town website where all of our information is there. We've posted that in the links. And if you're looking for work, Home Market Foods, which is an essential employer as they're part of the food supply chain, is looking. They are right here in Norwood. They have about 100 positions available. So please share that with anyone you know. And thanks to MS Walker, to AmeriCAD, and Steel Art for producing face shields for us, and the fire department for getting their information out there. Luster Cleaners has been doing a lot of our masks for the town, and the Making Masks group in Norwood for the incredible work that they're doing, truly being a citizen army. And we just had the library link to the library's webpage for all of their e-resources, and a lot of virtual programming, and so is the rec department. Is tennis okay is a quick question we got. For right now, tennis is okay. For right now, that may change. 2 people in a family playing tennis is not necessarily a risk we're particularly worried about. We are seeing the courts fill up a little bit. That may come where we may have to close the tennis courts as well. So just try to use them sparingly. If it's your household, and what we're asking is if you go there, try to limit it to household. If you have a team coming up, that's really where we have the problem. But again, we want to keep these resources available to the public and not have to shut everything down and have some additional folks suffer, but it relies on personal responsibility. So that's it. My last announcement. I'll answer any other questions folks have. Again, call center 8 to 4, Monday through Friday, 781-352-2363. And this video will stay and will be available on the town's webpage, and we'll look to do this every week as long as we're going through this and folks continue to have questions and we continue to have updates. You can always email health-related questions to the health board at health@norwoodma.gov or questions to managers@norwoodma.gov. All right. And with that, you can always continue to ask questions and we'll reach out to us. Call the call center if you need anything and reach out to the town. And just everyone, please practice your social distancing. But for the overwhelming majority of people who are doing great, thank you to everyone. Thank you to the town staff and to the residents and to all our folks out there on the front lines, the folks at the hospitals and the folks in the nursing homes and the folks in the grocery stores and the restaurant workers who are keeping us all moving through this. All right. Thank you, everyone. We're going to end our feed, and we'll stick around for a few minutes if there are comments and the questions, and we'll look to do this again next week. Take care, everyone, and stay safe out there.